Hi guys, welcome back. We are here to do your update for December 2020. I can't believe I'm saying this. Now, this has been a very unique year. A lot of what's going to come through is going to be very unique this month. I'm here to guide you through that process and into 2021 and beyond. This is a very comprehensive report, and this is a really large pivotal point for us collectively. So we're going to dig deep into your astrology charts. We've also got this video where you can stream forward, stream back, and actually link into what you need to listen to. But there are very important aspects inside this video that are going to help you through. So, you're really guided to listen to each section. It's deeply important for you, and it will be changing the collective for the whole of December 2021. Now, key dates are mentioned and key themes. Let's get into the energy. Grab a cuppa, sit back, relax, and enjoy this video. Okay, moving into this month, we already have Neptune and Pisces direct. Now, in shadow energy, it can take some time to kick up some speed. This is an energy that is quite slow moving. We're also having the conjunction point this month, as well as the energy of both Saturn and Jupiter moving from Capricorn into Aquarius, which is, it's what we've been waiting for moving into 2021. It has really taken a toll on us moving through. So many of us will be very grateful, but it is a transitional stage. You need to attempt to keep as grounded as possible through it. Conjunction points can be very positive. They can bring blessings to you. The day after the eclipse, we are also having Aries and Chiron stationary direct. So again, it will move quite quickly. We do need to pay attention to inside our zodiac signs where that links to, which I will mention. But bear in mind that energy, we will start within the next 1 to 2 weeks feel like we're more energetic. We did have Aries and Chiron retrograde. It was really pushing us down for 6, feeling very tired. A lot of us still were feeling tired last month, due to the fact that Aries and Chiron was still retrograde, to give us that time to really reflect. So it's really healthy that it is moving forward, especially moving into Christmas and New Year. It's going to put us in a better standpoint where we can deeply be in our emotional grounded energy to be able to see and perceive things. Also with Neptune and Pisces going direct, it's going to be doing the same thing. And as we move into January 2021, we will have Uranus and Taurus going direct, where next year it will be making 3 squaring points to Saturn in Aquarius. Oh, Aries, I had to sit here for a few minutes. I was quite perplexed, and I guess it's because for your zodiac sign, we did have Aries and Chiron retrograde, as well as Aries in Chiron retrograde. So even prior to talking about the eclipse energy, let's address how fatigued you must be. Now, number one, it can be a personal transformation. It's very first house placement. It's also with your energy levels of the other things that were coming up around you. Now, last month, there was a lot of Scorpionic energy, which was linked to your 8th house placement. So it might have been anything to do with trying to pull things together with very little energy. Anything to do with your contracts, to do with taxation, to do with legacies and even inheritances and things to that degree. Really key pointing in where those things were and how they were standing. There may have also been a lot of reflection because Neptune in Pisces has only just gone direct as we move into this month, and it's very slow in moving, so it can take some time, and it's really linked to your 12th house. So from a spiritual, psychological point of view, trying to make sense of what this whole transit has been, including from that point when Neptune and Pisces did go direct, things are going to start to make sense as it moves forward. So your clarity, and really looking at that, about what you learnt in that transit and what's coming up. Now, the eclipse in Sagittarius is going to be a huge turning point. It can bring blessings to us. Whatever these transformations through these transits I'm going to mention, it's really important to look at them and to make it through this month. Don't try to hold on too tight to a point that this is how it's going to be forever. Very much move forward. A lot of the hard work that you put in, you're going to start reaping the rewards, as well as life is going to start to make sense. I do feel emotionally you guys are, your spirituality is changing, especially since Sagittarius is the 9th house for you. So again, from a psychological point of view, you may have been very busy. You might have been looking at your work previously Potentially you may have been flying and moving and dealing with foreign countries, and you might now naturally be doing that very differently, but we'll talk about that inside your career sector. But again, separate, it is ninth house placement, so it's about Jupiter, it's about movement, it can be about the growth, to do with networking, religion, education if you've been upskilling, dealing with your travel, and really balancing it with that Gemini energy of keeping the communication channel open. So sometimes you might have experienced difference of views. There could have been subjects to do with children, and also upskilling and having to transform during this very energetic time, and then trying to pull it all together. You will find that that will be a 6-month transit. So when the eclipse point does hit, it is hitting your ninth house. Now from there, between 6 and 18 months, there will be a transition and a rebuild in that direct energy. Now, if you can think back to May of this year, there may have been subjects around that time playing out that are going to link to this point in time. So it's food for thought to look back and see what was happening. It's when the nodes shifted. And again, towards the end of the month, we will discuss what's coming up with the energy of Cancer in your zodiac sign. Now, when I mentioned Sagittarius, I also do need to, because we did move away from the eclipse in Gemini last month. And again, it is the North Node. It's what we really need to be working towards. So although we're having the eclipse in Sagittarius, it's really handy to be able to balance this placement out by utilizing Gemini, which is your third house placement. Now, during this stage, what you might find is all the things you thought, especially with Neptune and Pisces, really decluttering the mind, getting to a point where putting our thoughts into actions. Sometimes we directly need to meditate upon these things prior to bringing them out into the forefront. And it may have been things to do with transport, to do with having to be quite local, networking. Again, you may have been extremely busy. I'm really looking at those things, and it can be blockages in the throat chakra, as you heard me cough. Third house can be owning your truth. And again, from a psychological point of view, because Neptune in Pisces had been in retrograde, it becomes slow in a sense of gaining momentum. But as we do reach that eclipse point, you may seem to find that you're able to articulate how you're feeling. Do a little bit of throat chakra clearing, but anything to do with frustration with movement, again, keeping very busy. Third house can be difficult in a sense that you're going back and forward. You might be hearing everyone's point of view. It might be with work colleagues and things to that degree, with technology issues. As that moves, you are going to see a transformation in that area, as well as what is happening on the collective level. But as for communication, you may feel more lighter as we move away from that Aries and Chiron retrograde energy around the 16th. And the reason I mentioned the 16th is because it will be stationary initially and then it will move. So very much by the end of the month, you will energetically feel more vivacious, more vibrant, where you're feeling yourself again and you're more in alignment to deal with anything that's in front of you. Keep pushing through, ground yourself, but be aware that, it's not all one-sided. It is connected to the astrology. Now, we did mention this month to be the Great Conjunction. Now, the part of it that did start was at the beginning of the year. The juicy part of it occurs at the end of this year, as well as the energy of Aquarius. Now, initially, we are having conjunction points occurring yet again in Capricorn, and they have been for a little while. One of the dates is on the 13th, which I will mention in a moment. But where we do have the transform over is the 17th of December, and that's where Saturn enters Aquarius, and the 19th of December, where Jupiter enters Aquarius. Now, those energies will remain there for a while. Jupiter, however, next year will retrograde into Pisces for a little bit, but we will connect in with that next year. So at the moment where we're moving on the 13th, you do have a contention point, and squaring aspects are occurring for everyone individually inside their own charts. For you, it does link to the 9th house placement and the 12th house. Now, Mercury in Sagittarius is squaring Neptune in Pisces. Pisces energy linking to Neptune would have been direct, by this point, cognitively, you may have had a lot of downloads. Now, this can be the house of hidden enemies, it can be our psychology, it can be the house of imprisonment, it can be the house of spirituality and logic and, oh, what else could we call it? Psychology. So however this is landing, Mercury being your third eye and tuning into it, your spiritual belief systems, the things you've learnt, and the difficulty of how are you going to bring all of that together? You know, with what you learn and what you were previously to where you are now after the retrograde, what are you going to do with that situation? And bringing those things together, squarings can be, you know, more integration in the frustration. You're not quite where you need to be. Trying to find the words to articulate how you're feeling, trying to map that out, and maybe feeling you need to think about it a little bit longer. But sometimes we can be sitting on that energy a little bit too long, and this is where I do believe this conjunction point is going to bring that to the forefront. So where we do have that, which is on the 13th on the same day, we do have Jupiter in Capricorn in conjunction to Saturn in Capricorn, which is your career sector. Now, it's also the things you've been working on. So from a separate point of view, this can be in the area of employment. Keeping busy, working, the responsibilities, the burdens, you know, and even the frustration of the frequency due to the fact that Mars was retrograde and Aries and Chiron was. This is coming to a point where it's going to highlight something for you, and it's almost like prior to it leaving that energy, it's giving you a little bit of a message. And it's going to give you a clue as to what you would need to do to pull that together. Not necessarily is it occurring right away, but what you would need to do, or what we had done previously, and what sometimes the consequences are. But I feel it's more an epiphany to do with what those key areas are. So a lot of times it doesn't have to be that it's something negative, but it can be a light bulb moment, like an auditing system. Now, if you've been working on something for a very, very long time and it's been frustrating, your accountability is going to pay off. You'll also move towards Jupiter in Capricorn on the 15th in conjunct to Saturn in Capricorn. So you will find a way on that day to actually grow. There will be a light bulb moment, both within your accountability and within the trajectory of where it stands as it is. Now, as it moves into the conjunction point on the 21st, we do have a point where both Saturn and Jupiter are meeting in the sign of Aquarius. Now, as I mentioned, that is going to be on the 21st. Now, on the 20th, we do have Mercury entering Capricorn, which is going to give you an ability to think about what the accountable energy will require inside of these tasks that you're attempting to tackle. You also will be thinking about it, but by the time we do have Sun in Sagittarius conjunct Mercury in Capricorn, you will actually take your power back and want to move towards taking the accountability and pulling things in. But it's going to show you what that is and where the goal is. Then on the 21st, as I mentioned, we are having the great conjunction, and that is Saturn in Aquarius conjunct Jupiter in Aquarius. And this links to your 11th house. Now, with this 11th house, it's going to be highlighted for quite some time. It's very much to do with networking. It can be to do with global marketing. It can be something that is happening in your sphere of work. It can be something that is happening in your own life individually. And it can be more a social energy, but from a different dynamic. Aquarius can be very much for the people. It may be energetically getting down to people's levels. It could be looking at how to shuffle a team around, looking at how to bring things together in that fashion and what will be required. You will also find that through your networking, this is where benefits and finances can come from. So with your networking, if you have been pushing through that from the beginning months, coming to this point, this is where you really can reap rewards. And it's sort of like a reverse of fortune. So with everything you've been trying to achieve, don't be surprised if you do receive some gifts from universe, especially linking to the 11th house. Now, this connects to friends, clubs, aspirations, any good deed you put forward, as well as to balance that, as I mentioned before, you do need to focus on the energy of Gemini, which is the key point in your chart at the moment where Neptune is. So your meditation of your hopes, your dreams, and your aspirations, you know, really bringing them into your life. You know, not only, and I always talk about this, not keeping them in the 5D, bringing them down to the 3D. And I really feel that this is a point of what you've been trying to understand within yourself and coming to terms with things, releasing the past, releasing any blockages you had linking to you, where potentially you may have been standing in your way from receiving your hopes and dreams and now receiving them. Now, Aries, the full moon in Cancer is happening on the 30th, and it's quite a large day, so to speak. And yes, you know, by this point, we've reached the end of this month, gone through the eclipse, which was an eclipse back-to-back, month for month, then moving into the energy of the conjunction point, and now the full moon in Cancer at 0 degrees. Now for you, this does link to your home, your day-to-day routine. It's at 0 degrees, which is the critical degree point, and it is a full moon, meaning a brand new beginning. Now, it's pretty much out with the old, in with the new, but there can be some emotions that comes up linking to this. Fourth house is our psychological foundation. That was a bit of a tongue twister. Domestic issues, endings, you know, anything family related really. But emotionally, it can be where we're coming to terms with things. We also on that day have Mars squaring Jupiter, Mars squaring Saturn, and Mars squaring Pluto. And for you, this is your first house placement. This can both link to first and eighth house. It can be anything to do with inheritances, emotions, thinking of people from the past, summing everything up emotionally and physically, but being more open to a new chapter. And initially, obviously, there can be some emotions that do come up, but as we move forward, there can be a transformation and a brand new beginning. Now, this can denote new accommodation. It also can be something that you may plan moving forward, or your viewpoint connecting to your psychological foundation can be changing. Now, you also had the axis during Mars retrograde in Aries and Aries and Chiron retrograde, where your connections were being reflected upon. That was the shadow energy. So as the 15th moves forward, excuse me with my throat, and we do move towards the end of this month, you will find that you will have more clarity connecting to your relationships, marriages, contracts, and there should be more balance in these areas. I also see subjects to do with finances coming up very largely, really having to face our shadow to do with, you know, what we have, what we need to do, the frustration to do with some of the control out of our hands. Again, as we move forward, looking at these situations and as they crop up, we will find solutions. So have faith in that process and proceed to move forward. So funny, just looking at your chart moving into the year for romance, Aries, I find it very interesting. Now, we currently have Juno in Sagittarius, which is a feminine energy. And we also currently in the charts do have Venus in Sagittarius. Now, this is linking to your 9th house placement. And it's deeply, deeply highlighted throughout the month. And I do feel as Neptune goes direct, both your emotions, potentially a little bit of purging, reflection, wanting to take your connection to the next level, but trying to understand all that has gone by prior to making these adjustments. Now, I do feel from maybe even prior to the 15th, these things can be transforming. But I do see, due to the fact that we had Aries and Chiron and Mars retrograde at that point for quite a bulk of the time, you were really reflecting upon both yourself and your connections. And this is all facets, 10th house as well as 7th house. So with you balancing these areas, your belief systems, the things you've learned through this whole experience, I do feel you're moving into 2021 as a very new individual. I also feel that you're going to be more connected and wanting to go the distance when it does come to relationships. And I do see you to be very strong by mid-month and wanting to address these areas. Now, there could be some stumbling blocks as you do move towards the end of the month, but it's more from a psychological point of view over a 3D thing. And I think if you do utilize the Gemini energy of communication, you will be able to get through these hurdles. Now, this also could be a very spiritual connection. If you are in a connection that you feel doesn't resonate with you, I do feel this time as Neptune goes direct and Mars moves away from that energy going direct in Aries and Chiron, you will feel more stronger to be able to address some of those areas if you are quite perplexed by a connection. I also feel with the 8th house placement of Scorpio we had last month, with the Pluto energy coming through, we're really being asked to look at, the feasibility of things. Where is this going? Do we work together in a team? And I do feel even, with what happened in the collective, it's really posed these pivotal questions for us to be addressing. I do feel you're going to move through the month, taking direct accountability on what you feel you need, setting your intentions and being open to it. And I do feel a lot of conversation, but you do need to trust how you're feeling, that it is relevant, and speak your truth through love. Now, the main areas I see as a key player would definitely be first house. Now, I'm seeing that Aries and Chiron is bringing up situations connecting to you. Self-love, very, very important. Getting enough rest. Not being so hard on yourself at the moment for the way you're feeling. Healthy diet, especially when it does come to the amount of energy you're actually using. I'm also seeing, as you do move forward, base chakra being important. Now, that is due to the fact that at the end of the month, we're also going to have the moon in Cancer, which is home, it's 4th house, but it's also to do with our emotions and feminine energies. It can be relating to mother and emotions of co-creative energy. So the lower chakras, I do feel, are quite highlighted for you, as well as your crown chakra with the 9th house placement. Now, the reason I say 9th house is because it is connected to spirituality. And again, you can be purging through your attachment to assets. And I do feel with the 9th house placement, both the 9th and the 2nd, because we have Taurus there, people may have in the past made you feel like a financial asset, but they're wanting to dig in and they're wanting to get to you. So again, I do feel you've upgraded your self-esteem with that energy. If anyone has ever made you feel that way, take a look at it. And I do feel Aries and Chiron is helping you understand that it doesn't have to be so. But more than anything, I am seeing you're wanting very deep, deep spiritual connections, and you could naturally just be purging these areas in your life. The good old analogy of less is more, and that's what I'm really feeling. In order to be organized, sometimes when we have too many things, it does become hectic. When we're simplifying our life, Neptune and Pisces is like, the spiritual energy of it. Make sure you keep your fluid up. Definitely be cautious of diet until Mars goes direct, because it can be making you feel a little bit sluggish. But obviously, I'm not a physician. If you ever need anything checked, go and check it, especially during Aries and Chiron retrograde. And try and keep as grounded as possible when it does come to taking a little bit of time for meditation. Taking a bit of time to listen to yourself and being able to articulate. So throat chakra also. Regardless of the fact that we did have, as I mentioned 101 times, you're probably going to get sick of it, Aries and Chiron and Mars retrograde. It was your first house placement. Energetically, it did give you time to reflect, but it also, with the nodes being in Gemini, it can cause some contention. Now, it will ease up as the month progresses, and you will find there is going to be a lot of movement. Now, I do feel this pocket of the year being the calm before the storm, and it's almost like a slingshot effect. Initially we may feel we're going 20 steps back and we're pushing mud uphill, but as we reach that pivotal point, as we reach that peak, it's really flipping us forward to a point where we're having that physical momentum. Some of you can actually receive a job if you're unemployed. Some of you can have a brand new idea. I'm seeing networking to be really, really important for you guys with the 11th house placement. And I'm also seeing your career field, if you have been working and having issues with staff members and things to that degree, it is going to balance out. Now, if you're working from home and you're tidying up and you're creating that space and you're becoming prepared for that and you've moved into a routine, you know, clearing your house, getting to the point where you're getting the energy neutral, very, very organized, especially moving into the end of the year. Because when we do have that energy of the full moon in Cancer at 0 degrees, it is the critical degree point, and even the eclipse is linking to the 23 degree point, which again is the critical degree. So, you know, trying to stay balanced through these transits may be unique. You will definitely learn things about yourself. But from a financial aspect, I do potentially see money coming in. I also see if you've been waiting for money to be given to you connecting to a home, it can be coming up. Some of you may have been considering selling a home, or it might have been legacies, taxation, and inheritances. So there can be some luxuries coming up. Careful the way you use it. Again, it is balancing out to a point, it's growing, and definitely I would suggest the networking aspect of things. Towards the beginning of the month, be careful if you are interacting with energies, because with the 12th house placement there, you know, just keep your secrets close to your chest. If there's something of an idea you have, wait for divine timing, as they say, and be cautious who you're trusting. I'm also seeing be very cautious with vices, especially until Neptune does go direct, which, you know, it is, but we need to wait about 1 to 2 weeks from the beginning of the month. And also with the 12th house placement, as you're implementing these ideas, you know, really nurturing them and reading the fine print connecting to contracts. Now, during October on the 31st, we did have the energy of Taurus. Now, with that frequency, it does link to your 2nd house placement. This is both of self-esteem and tactile assets. This can be land value, income, to a degree. It generally links to your self-esteem. It can be your resources, your material value, your ability to actually follow through with things, your alliances, your professional resources. So with that, you will find that as we move forward, especially into 2021 and during this month as well, there can be transformations in that domain. Now, it will be throughout the year in 2021, but during this month, there can be shifts and changes in that area, especially during the eclipse, and especially to do with the end of the year on the 30th with the full moon in Cancer. So for your home placement, I am seeing both contracts and situations to that degree being tied up. This can be insurances, taxation, definitely money coming towards you. There could have been things that you were tidying up, but again, I do feel emotions linking to what home means. I'm really trying to make that happen. Some of you, it may be that you were needing to move or wanting to buy a home. Others of you, this could be connected to security for your home as well. And really wanting a nurturing space that does feel protected. Irritations and transformations can happen leading in and out of the moon cycle. So always pay attention to that area, because it always will link in some shape or form to your home environment. We do have, as I mentioned, Cancer in that placement for you of home. Your situations, your emotions, and it does need to be a very nurturing environment. So if you're creating that comfort and creating that space, and, you know, really wanting that. And it kind of does mirror the Cancer energy currently with us having Venus and Scorpio at the beginning of the month. As it moves, it will move towards the frequency of Venus and Sagittarius. Now, with that, you will tend to find that the way you are relating to the beauty and the things inside yourself, you might want to expand. This could be the requirement for a larger house. It also could be the requirement that due to love, that something in that domain connecting to home is changing. It's going to land how you directly feel to do with your given 3D circumstances. But it is the 9th house placement that is coming up during the month, as well as shared resources. So there can be disputes initially connecting to shared income. If you are having, like I mentioned, energy inside a connection and it's difficult, there can be an assessment in that area going on, and secrets due to Neptune and Pisces. This can be also suspicious energy, and again, really looking at your intuition and feeling how it directly feels for you. But overall in your home, what you will find is I do feel upgrading and comfort energy, wanting to spend a little bit of time home in the first month due to the fatigue with Aries and Chiron. And that really needs to be a stable energetic environment. If it has been a point of contention for you, it could be due to a flatmate, a family member, a love interest, however it fall, you will feel deeply unrested and agitated. But by the time we reach the middle of the month to the end, your load is going to be lightened, and I do feel it can be a very ambient place. However, some emotions can come up on the 30th due to it being a full moon in Cancer. And it can be a slight purge and a release of, oh my gosh, I can relax, I have more energy, but I'm still tired. So just keep that in mind and be gentle with the kin and everyone around. Some of you have been so busy this year, so exhausted, so perplexed, I can say. I can even channel the energy energetically. You're just deeply wanting to have spiritual connections, be able to mix with your hopes and dreams and build, and have more connections that are conducive and not combative. I do see this changing as this month progresses. Now, I sort of do feel this energy this month feeling like the good, the bad, the ugly, which is an education, beauty as well, and great epiphanies connected to the past. And I think as we move forward, we're going to have great clarity as to, what's really valuable, what's really important, what our self-esteem is. Now, spiritually speaking, having 12th house placement, I do feel, yes, your hopes and dreams can come to the forefront. I'm also seeing that some of these ideas have been in your mind for a while. And it could even be to the point with your sleeping. You could feel like you're astro traveling, but a lot of these hopes and dreams are coming through for you directly moving into mid-month. I'm also seeing you could be very social by mid-month. This can be where your hopes and dreams and aspirations of anything that you felt had really been on hold for a long time starts coming to fruition. I'm also seeing new people coming into your life by mid-month moving into 2021, and this can be a very social year for you. Now, hopes, dreams, aspirations, and the energy of our dreams. You've got 12th and 9th house placement. We also have the moon in Cancer, which is home energy, and can be home is where the heart is, but where is that place? Sometimes it's accommodation, sometimes it's being in a more serene space. I do feel if you sit and you meditate, your ancestors and your loved ones who have passed over can directly communicate with you. I do feel you're listening and coming to terms with things, especially with the 8th house placement. This is a time also where we can feel their energy, with the moon being in Cancer at 0 degrees. And it's also where we're getting grounded with Mother Nature and Mother Earth. I do feel if there is a situation that you're needing to release, this can be the pain of losing someone. It can be the pain of looking at the past and moving forward and coming to terms with things. Lighting a candle in memory of that energy, and sometimes it can be about old life and moving forward into the new without fear. And really finding a mentor, or again, it could be someone that you absolutely admired that passed over during this year that you can aspire to be somehow, some way, very similar to them, and light a candle in memory of them. And definitely Aries, have faith in yourself, because with all those bright energies that you have inside your mind, try to bring them out into the light. Merry Christmas, guys, and a very, very happy new year. Please keep safe. Thank you so much for being here and following me. All your likes, shares, subscribes, they mean the absolute world to me. For those of you that are new, a very warm welcome. For those of you that are returning, thank you, crew. Love you to bits. It's been an absolute pleasure this year. Please come and join us for all the live sessions. If you are wanting a recorded reading or an emergency reading or any other booking for that matter, the link is below. Yes, I will be available during the silly season. Please subscribe. We cover the astrology, we cover the moon energies, any psychic energies, twin flame path, as well as coaching and spirituality. Drop me a comment in the bottom and tell me how this video directly relates, and I hope to see you during our super chats. Love you guys. Take care. See you in 2021. May the best be yet to come.